Gutsi. My name is Aslam Sheikh, your host for this evening. I'm a president of Swiss Education Foundation, an exclusive platform to promote Switzerland as a study destination. This is our fifth talk show and broadcasted live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Every alternate Thursday, we aim to bring in the eminent speakers to discuss the topic that will help you to explore this beautiful country, which has been the favorite destination for Bollywood shootings, family vacations, and definitely for educations. This is first of its kind program which will take a deeper dive into Switzerland and other important aspects related to the country like hospitality, Swiss lifestyle, culture, sustainability, education system, student life, Swiss institutes, and more. Our today topic is Switzerland turning students into managers. And to discuss these exciting subjects, we have with us Mr. Anthony Lack and Jackson Afson. So let's welcome our guest in the room. Hello, Anthony. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Aslam. Greetings from Switzerland. It's quite an honor to be invited to be a guest speaker. We're always very excited to support you in your online webinars, and a warm welcome from beautiful Switzerland.
Thank you, Anthony. And let me quickly introduce you to our audience. Mr. Anthony is the president of HTMi International Events Association to celebrate 15 years at HTMi. Mr. Anthony Lack, head of events education and planning, is now the founder and president of HTMi International Event Association. The association will immediately become the coordinating body for international events held with HTMi partners globally. The initial portfolio of events projects falling within the remit of associations are WHSC World Hospitality Student Championship, internationalization of the HTMi research conferences, masterclass global virtual tours, and hotel events simulation training concepts for HTMi partners. Thank you, Anthony, for joining the show, and I'll come back to you. Meantime, I'll introduce another guest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Jack. Welcome to the show.
Aslam, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for joining us.
No problem. Beautiful day in Switzerland. Not sort of a normal Swiss day today. Little bit cloudy, little overcast. Huge mountains in the background. Absolutely fantastic.
Great. Okay, so Mr. Jack, let me introduce you to our audience. Mr. Jack is the head of academics. So new head of academics, HTMi Switzerland. Jack also joins the HTMi International Development Group senior team. Jack's last academic leadership role was national head of academic operations, the Hotel School, Southern Cross University, Australia, and has held senior academic leadership position at Torrance University and William Blue College of Hospitality Management. So thank you, Jack, for joining us in the show.
An absolute pleasure. Looking forward to it, Aslam.
Thank you very much. So friends, we are beginning this program. So if you have any query, please do write into a comment box and we'll be trying our best to take it within a time limit. Before I begin the show, let me introduce Switzerland, for which we are here. Switzerland is a landlocked country of towering mountains, deep alpine lakes, grassy valley dotted with neat farms and small villages, are thriving cities that blend the old and the new. Switzerland is the nexus of diverse physical and cultural geography of Western Europe, renowned for both its natural beauty and its way of life. So, beginning the show, I have got a lot of questions here already addressing to what are the basic needs of the students and parents from transformation point of view. And let's quickly jump on to our first question. And Jack, I've got a first question for you. Now, as we are progressing in this modern age, we are understanding the importance of personality development or personal development. And with regards to this, my first question is, what is the importance really is the personal development in the field of hospitality education industry? Jack.
Well, it's interesting. It's implicit that, academic excellence translates directly to one's personal development, right? And don't make any mistake about it. In the hospitality industry, it's always been a meritocracy, right? It's always been a meritocracy based on production. It's a very austere industry. So when leaders and managers see self-directed, confident, and informed candidates, entry-level candidates, they see people that they can guide through into future leadership roles. personal development today comes with many shapes and sizes. The academic component is just one part of it. It's a large part, but it's only one part of it, right? What makes a future industry professional is the kind of things that academic now really puts forward, right? It sends a message to the employment market. You have a person that, when they're task-oriented, deadline-oriented, a person that intrinsically strives for improvement, who looks towards sequential learning as a way of setting up building blocks and moving to the next task. And also, and this is probably the most important of all, the thing that the completion of an academic program really suggests to the industry in general is that you have a person that can start a task and they can finish it. And that's what the hospitality industry wants and needs.
Yes, absolutely right, Jack. Very well said. Let me also bring on to Anthony onto the conversation and building onto this basic questions to the next level. Anthony, uh, Switzerland is being known for grooming the students for their personality and the personal skills. Now, here we would like to ask very specific question because students also confuse most of the time that how do they select any particular institute out of many which are existing in any country like Switzerland. So how HTMi specifically grooms students and match with this title of transforming students from students to manager, and what leadership skills make them more employable?
Okay, so thank you for the question. And first of all, thank you for that wonderful introduction to Switzerland. I think you could definitely be employed as Switzerland's tourism marketing manager. But coming to your question, within hospitality and tourism, when you have guests staying in hotels, resorts, they expect certain levels of service. And the first contact that guests have with hotels, could be from the doorman, who's opening the car door, to the front desk agents checking in the guest. And they will often form an impression and an image of the hotel just based on those grooming standards. We take our job here, quite seriously. We really focus mainly on 5-star hotel standards. We have a lot of global partners in terms of hotels where we place students, and we constantly in touch with them and asking them, what are the grooming standards that you expect our students to actually have. And students will leave here one day with a bachelor or a master's degree. We go through the whole academic structure. But the other part, in getting them successful jobs, turning them into leaders, is really focusing on their grooming, professional development, behavior, and their attitude. So we put a lot of emphasis, in making sure that our students are groomed in order to meet the 5-star standards. We train them in interview skills. When they come and study, they could be doing internship, going for their first entry-level position. And we really look at the whole grooming standards from head to foot, from hairstyles, to how to wear your makeup, how to tie a tie, how to carry a suit. And we constantly monitor the students' grooming every single day, whether before they go for a meal, in the classroom, and we really guide them so that they understand the importance of their grooming and what that will make them employable. Because their first impression when they go for a job interview, whether it's looking at their picture on a CV or meeting the interviewer, they're going to be judged on their grooming appearance. And that's
Absolutely.
what's really successful, and especially how we hear from the industry, how impressed they are with how our students are groomed, and we adapt all the time based on what the standards of the industry actually are.
Right, Anthony. I mean, you are bang on targets, because whenever we enter into any premises, whether it's hotel or corporates, we always judge the organization with the way people appear and represent that organization in the first place. And I can't agree more with on this point. So, okay, let's take this point further. Jack, we know that Switzerland and like Germany, these are the two important countries who have got a big history, of being the advocator of the vocational program, and they have got a lot of apprenticeship programs in the past as well. So we would like to see from Swiss point of view that how does Swiss history of hospitality into vocational teaching is being adopted by HTMi in Switzerland.
Look, that's a great question. You know, Aslam, you were talking before, when you were talking about what Switzerland is, you were kind of referring to the brand that is Switzerland, right? And Switzerland and Swiss hospitality itself is a very well articulated brand, right? It represents a higher standard of service, like Anthony was referring to, but also other little things. You know, in our industry, it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's attention to detail. Every little thing matters when you walk into a 5-star environment. But you also need employees that can match that attention to detail, you know, employees that have, and this is a very Swiss thing, having a can-do approach. There's no problem that Swiss people can't solve, right? They're very, very much proactive about problem solving and making issues go away, right? What does that do for hospitality? That raises the bar for hotel organizations, right? And HTMi here, we're no exception, right? What we try to do is to provide a measured and consistent approach to both of the vocational and the higher educational elements in our programs. Anthony was referring to our grooming standards, right? Which is a really, really good example. And I think one that all Swiss schools can really aspire to, right? But there's other things that we do here. We try and teach our students, most importantly, to be able to think on their feet, to be able to react, to be able to use their education actively, right? In an active environment, right? To always, no matter what, take into consideration, and this is the key element right here, is enterprise requirements, right? There's different hotels with different grooming standards, and different rooms, different ways of doing this, that, and the other, right? And their goals may change, right? But our students that go into these myriad organizations, they can adapt, they can change, right? Because we've given them a foundation that says, respect the organization first, respect the organization's ideals, engage in the required standards for each one of those individual organizations. And this allows our students to maximize their chances of success, but not only theirs, the organizations that they represent as well, and makes them good ambassadors for us here back at HTMi.
Absolutely, Jake. Attention to detail is the key. In fact, that's a deficiency we have in a country like India, whereby we really build up a lot of time, very good buildings, very good corporate structure, but we forget to build the basic infrastructure, a road which is leading to these kind of organizations. So yes, I mean, I think we got a lot of things to learn from a country like Switzerland, wherein these aspects of personal grooming, that grooming can be applied not only to a personality, but also to a city, to an organization, to anybody you work with.
100%, right? It doesn't have to be specific to just one industry, right?
Absolutely, Jack. Thank you very much. Let's move on to this point further. Now, after understanding the importance of personality, grooming standards, and how do you pay attention to details, Anthony, we would like to know from you, because many a times students and parents are actually not very clear to comprehend this, that how can one learn all these aspects along with education, along with the formal education. So what are the ways and means through which your school helps students to get more practical and get exposed to this kind of standards?
Yeah, thank you for that question. So when a student arrives here, in the first week, we have a 1-week induction and orientation where the students go through many programs. And on the second day, we have specific grooming and, conduct seminars for both our female students and our male students, where we go into very detailed discussion, explanation of what our grooming standards are and what is expected by the industry. We look at things, as I said before, hairstyles, what is the correct way to wear a suit. And then, of course, we expect them to implement these standards. But throughout the semester, we constantly do more workshops, helping them to develop through our career center. They also spend a lot of time doing PDP sessions with the students, helping them in terms of their professional behavior. But we're constantly monitoring those grooming standards throughout the semester. When students need assistance, we have professional staff here, because most of the staff, we all have 5-star hotel industry backgrounds. So we know what the standards are expected. We're still in touch with the industry all the time. So it's a continuous, ongoing process. It doesn't stop after that one specific grooming seminar. It's ongoing up until the day they graduate. We also have industry professionals come to visit us, both to recruit students, um, to give them jobs, internship possibilities, but also talking about the grooming and the feedback that we constantly get, from employers within the industry. We have a very high employer rate, I think it's about 96%. But in terms of employer satisfaction, they're very satisfied with how we prepare the students. And part of their grooming is also looking at the behavior, the attitude, working with them in terms of things like body language, how to use positive body language. We're really trying to develop the whole package. So, looking at our mission statement, it covers the students become a manager. We put a lot of emphasis on helping them, attain that ultimate goal, where they will become successful hospitality professionals one day in the future.
Right, Anthony. I think it's very interesting for students and parents to note the point what Anthony mentioned. So it's not only, friends, about the classroom study. It's much, much more and beyond the education in the classroom. So you're not restricted just to have interaction with the faculty, but Anthony mentioned that you get an opportunity to have industry visits as a part of your course curriculum. You get to participate in these personality build-up workshops, which further enhances your overall personality, which would be meeting the industry standards. And that's what he rightly said, because employers I mean, this is what we also get to hear in India, Anthony, that even the big companies, when they've been asked that what is the one basic quality which you're looking for before hiring the fresh graduates, they'll have to say the same thing, is the people's personality and the attitude. This is the first thing we see before we go into the details of achievements and degrees. And I
One,
think you made a very, very bold statement here. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to Jack again. Jack, since we are touching upon and moving more from education to career now, I would like to take a next step and talk more about the career point of view. And understandably, students, parents who are investing this huge amount of money into their higher education, they are equally concerned that how this form of education is relevant to the future employment by the time they graduate from the course. So, what kind of support HTMi offers for graduating students for their career development?
Well, our career team at HTMi, from the beginning, they're a very active presence, right? At the beginning of the student journey, the idea being that we give them the tools that they need during their education that will be of great benefit to them later. The old adage, give a man a fish and he'll eat today, teach him to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime, right? And that philosophy is embedded in our curriculum somewhat, if you think about it. For example, recent additions to our curriculum, right? And I know we're asking about graduates, but I'm leading into that, yeah? In our curriculum now, we have professional practice units, and this is specifically what I'm talking about, which is that toolkit, a little bit like Anthony was referring to before, right? Where we're addressing multiple modern methodologies that students will need after they leave our watchful eye, right? In there, we were talking about personality. Soft skills is what that is in today's industry, right? Students have to practice soft skills. None of us are born with soft skills. Some of us might be, but they're things that we can be learned, right? Communication skills, harder skills like interview techniques, and also specific things that students will use continuously through their professional career, which is the profile creation and maintenance of their profiles, right? We know that digital recruitment is the biggest kind of recruitment that there is now, right? And also digital networking. We also teach them a bit about personal branding and what that means to them from a future employment perspective, right? These things are massively important for kids in this day and age. But also just for graduates and staying in contact with them, this is really, really important also for a student that comes into an organization like ours, right? Through our alumni network, we engage with our students over and over again. Anthony was referring to how sometimes students come back and come into our conferences. This is what we do. We expect our graduates to be ambassadors for us, and we are ambassadors for them at the same time, right? But most importantly, our graduates, when they come back and tell our current students what their stories are and what their experiences were, well, you're seeing kind of that full circle of what an employment cycle looks like from education to fruition, right? And so in that kind of, for example, we have a global forum, right? We hold it twice a year. We do it in conjunction with our Bachelors of Research conference, right? And every single one of these conferences, we have an alumni speaker come in. The last one, I believe, Anthony, was one of our former students who's now a GM down in Australia, right, in Sydney. And she came and told us about her journey and her experiences, right? And the point of that is when our students know that they're going to be in contact with us, right, they know that they have a chance to contribute, to motivate, to inspire, and to, and to share their experiences with our current cohorts. And I think this is important, right? Because then a student knows that their journey is not finished with us. Just because their formal education is finished, it doesn't mean that their formal relationship with us is. And the ways that we can advocate for them are myriad. We have connections in many industries, many hotel organizations, and plus our staff here also makes recommendations for students to go on to other academic pursuits too. So it's a huge question, but I think one that's rooted basically just in our practice.
Wow, Jack, I mean, your answers summarize almost all the important aspect what the students and parents are concerned of. So I think what very important point you raise, which again, it's something very new from the culture where we come from. And the students may be finding it very surprising when they say that, okay, you learn how to brand yourself, and that's something which is very unique. And friends, if you're listening to Jack words, I think these are the important aspects which distinguish Switzerland, distinguish HTMi maybe from the other schools and other countries. So it's not only about just getting the good grades, it's also about being sellable as a person to the employers for your own career. And that's a very important trait which you get to learn what Jack has to say. And the digital profiling, what you rightly said, that's the key to go and be available for the people who wants to search for the skill set which you possess or you acquire during the education system.
Absolutely, 100%. And also just that idea and that sense that you are something marketable. You are a desirable entity for organizations, right?
Absolutely.
To walk out with that confidence and that swagger that people want you just as much as you want them.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so great. So let's move on to Anthony. And Anthony, now since we are understanding from academic and career point of view, let's narrow it down to the institute like HTMi, who is making all these things happen in the real life for the students. So if a student is hearing and listening to us and parents wants to know that, still, can you give us a very specific points now from an institute point of view? I love all these things. Now, tell me something more about your institute. What do you got to say to impress our listeners to look at HTMi as one of the best options?
All right, thank you. So unfortunately, I don't have much time to answer that question. But I think first it starts what Jack previously mentioned about Switzerland and quality, because for hundreds of years, Switzerland has always been and still is seen as a quality country. So when you buy a Swiss watch, it's a quality product and it's probably going to last you a lifetime. So the first advantage, being an institute situated in Switzerland, we focus a lot on quality, but focusing into us as an institute, we've been here for over 20 years. We have two amazing partner institutes, one being Ulster University, where we actually offer the #1 Bachelor of Science honors degree in Switzerland and the United Kingdom. We partner with Edinburgh Napier University in Scotland that offers a Masters of Science degree. But the great thing, it's not just the students that make the institute, more important, it's the staff. And we have a faculty of teachers where we all experts in our given fields. And as I previously mentioned, we all come from the five-star hotel industry. So, when students are studying, whether they're studying leadership, front office, service, they know that they have an expert who has the necessary experience. Here at the school, we also give the staff the opportunity for further development in terms of further studies, further our skills, qualifications. There's a great advantage bringing that back into the classroom. We have everything here from training kitchens, training restaurants. We have simulated front desks where we do front office training. So students really get 360-degree education, in terms of the operational areas, kitchen, service, housekeeping, front office, and then moving into the high levels, that's going to really prepare them for leadership. Of course, on the campus we have all of the necessary facilities from a student nightlife. We have our own in-house nightclub and bar, which is also used as a training center to teach students about various wines and beverages. We have many different competitions, from Alpine Culinary Championships for our baking pastries, cocktail championships. We focus a lot on business games that we call Saturday concepts, which really allows us to be innovative, innovative, create business concepts for restaurants, hotels, and events. So when they walk away, they have not just the vocational training and academics. They really leaving the school as professionals. We have an amazing location in central Switzerland, UNESCO biosphere. We're the only hotel school in the world to be situated in this beautiful UNESCO biosphere. Winter, you can cross the street and you're on the ski slopes. You want to go skiing, you want to go hiking. So, it's not just about the education, it's also about a healthy mind, healthy body.
Yes.
It's really, really important, that students have that healthy body, that healthy mind, they have the activities within the school, but outside. But with our amazing location, within 1 to 2 hours, you're in the major cities of Switzerland. 1 hour, you're in Lucerne, Zurich. So also give students an opportunity to travel and to discover the beauty of Switzerland.
Right, Anthony. So it's really exciting place, definitely, for students to join and study such a naturally beautiful place. And I had an opportunity to visit your campus. Really, you don't want to leave that place, once you are there inside.
Well,
Okay.
if I can just, the other great advantage of our school is, if you look at most, I'd say 99% of our staff, we've been here for decades. I've been here 15 years, other colleagues 14, 15 years. And I think that shows a certain amount of stability within the school, which is also important for our students. That even 10 years later, they still remember us, and we're hearing their great stories of how far they've come within the industry, promotions, and like Jack mentioned earlier, that we bring them back, to hire the next generation of students.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Anthony. Let's go back to Jack for the last question from his side. So, Jack, we have discussed about the careers more from the employment and the career from getting the job point of view. But what if I come from a background whereby I'm very entrepreneur in my nature as a student, and I want to follow the entrepreneur journey post my studies? How does HTMi help or groom me to be a future entrepreneur?
Is it many ways? Our hospitality enterprise project, for starters, which show up in our curriculum as direct assessments, distinct assessments, are one of the primary methods. Students work in groups to come up with new and exciting hospitality concepts and to think about innovation in ways that show collaboration and idea generation. Many of these projects really show how our students are kind of taught how to think outside the box. We also have a suite of events that we run on campus each semester. Some of them are in the curriculum. Some of them are driven by our events program, which allows students to come up with new ideas for events, not just from the implementation perspective, but also from a funding and staffing perspective as well. Another one would be our manager and training program, which allows for students to come up with innovations that manifest on an operational level. Students are tasked with taking normal operational concerns, applying their experiences, internship, and their own creativity to take good procedures and practices and make them better. And this is the hospitality way, right? Continuous, steady, sometimes incremental, but always productive improvement. So the real extension of that answer is that we have a lot of ways for students to use their experience and to use the things that they've learned and to expand on them a little bit and to hopefully grow them into something new and a little bit different.
Right, Jack, thank you very much. Friends, so this is the way HTMi helps you to also groom to be a next entrepreneur. And it's not only about the hospitality. You can take this experience and this exposure, you can apply to any industry in a practical sense, and you would have more relevant exposure from the school in order to understand any industry with that perspective much better than a normal graduating students who have never been exposed to this practical way of life. Let's move to the next question and the last question to Anthony. Anthony, we have learned about your beautiful school and the way you prepare your future leaders. The last question, maybe more from a parent's point of view, that how the campus is, how safe is the campus, and just quickly, if you could tell us what kind of facilities it offers to students.
Well, first of all, Switzerland is one of the safest countries in the world. But here in our campus in Surenberg, it's probably one of the safest places in the world. You can walk out in the streets at 3 o'clock in the morning. You almost feel like you're in nature. But, when new students come, we know sometimes it's the first time they've been away from home. They're leaving mom, they're leaving dad behind. So it's very important for us very quickly to make them a part of our international family. We have approximately 45 different nationalities on school. And, we've really created, and I've seen this through my 15 years here, when students leave one day, they just don't want to leave because they're really leaving, the extended family. And we have one of our centers is the Student Services Center. So from the time of application, they will take care and assist the students, with the visas, the application process, and from the time they arrive here, we have staff here. We act as sort of counselors. So when students have any issues, homesick, personal issues, study issues, we hear 24/7, 7 days a week consistent. Jack mentioned our managers training on the campus 24/7. So besides the facilities that I mentioned earlier, from swimming pools to nightclubs, to table tennis, to billiard, it really allows the students to relax. We really concern with their welfare, and to try to get them, into the study mode as quickly as possible. And I think we do an amazing job. We also have what we call personal academic tutors. Where each staff member is responsible for 10 to 15 students. That student is always welcome to go and see that member of staff, to discuss any of those issues. And, I've found through all the years, within a week, students get homesickness. We keep them very busy with activities and events and academics. So very, very quickly, but just to summarize, in terms of safety, this is probably the safest place in the entire world. But we really put a lot of emphasis and focus on the welfare, on their well-being, to help them through those and the issues, where they may feel a little uncomfortable coming to a new country, foreign languages. We put a lot of emphasis as well on teaching them German, because we're a German-speaking part of Switzerland.
Right.
It's also important for their internships. But within a week, 2 weeks, they're making friends, and they're so busy between activities and studies. So in terms of that, we really do a great job to make them feel at home here in Sorenland.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it feels like students are just home away from home with your explanation which you gave. And family, friends who are listening to us, you would realize that how much efforts the Swiss schools put into to make sure that they do understand that being away from the family and friends is not an easy job, and also concentrate onto education. And that's the reason why a school organized a lot of events, as Anthony said rightly, to engage students meaningfully so that they do not miss their home that much. And the facilities and safety, which already been explained, I think it's self-explanatory that why Switzerland is one of the most safest places. In fact, the Forbes magazine last year rated Switzerland the number one safest destination amidst COVID being at the peak. So that also tells you that how Switzerland takes the safety and health issues related to its people very seriously. So thank you, Anthony, and thank you, Jack, for a very insightful conversation, and really, we enjoyed talking to you. And I'm sure that today's students and parents must have learned a lot of things about HTMi and why should they choose Switzerland and this school for their higher education. So, friends, we would like to thank you very much for joining us for this particular show. We had this topic of turning students into managers. So, if any of our listeners seek further information on study in Switzerland, please feel free to connect us on our helpline number 88 799 42001, or visit our website swisseducation.com. Our experienced counselors will be happy to assist you instantly. My name is Aslam Sheikh, President of Swiss Education Foundation, signing off with the promise to come back again on 2nd September, sharp at 5 p.m., with another interesting topic and the bunch of guest speakers sharing with us the interesting subjects on Switzerland. Until then, think Switzerland, think Swiss education. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen.